This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
Welcome, Kevin Trudeau here. Everything they don't want you to know about. Thanks for joining me. Today's show is going to be a little different because many of you have not seen this show before, or many of you have not actually watched the show or all the shows. And of course you haven't watched all the shows. I've been broadcasting for a long time, so it's going to be very difficult. We all have lives to watch every single show. By the way, Trey, as I'm doing this, I got two cameras in front of me, and I keep, which is the one I should be looking at, the top or the bottom? The what? The top one. Okay, thanks. I got two cameras here, and I'm like, it's a brand new set. So I'm like, I got two cameras. Which one should I? Okay, that's the one. These shows really provide you with information that will help take you out of the trance so you can live a better life, a happier life, a more fulfilling life. I'm not telling you stuff that I don't know. I'm telling you stuff that I know and live and experience every single day. I can tell you. And people around me just are befuddled when they watch me glide through life, and they wonder, how do you not be affected by external conditions and situations? No one really knows my inner state. And if they did, it's a place that they've never even been to, that you've never even been to. It's a place of joy and love and peace and no judgment, no criticism, just love, unconditional to everyone and everything. And connecting in a way that is beyond comprehension. And it's at a level of benevolence and love and joy and bliss that's beyond comprehension. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to be. Yet, at the same time, you're experiencing everything that life is. You embrace the full expression of life in every aspect. It's just a wonderful place to be. So this show is designed to help you come out of your trance, increase your awareness, increase your consciousness, have some fun, point out some of the things that are going on behind the curtain, share with you stuff that they don't want you to know about, whether it's health or how politics works, or government or the media, a whole host of various things, not to make you depressed that you're being controlled by the evil government and the privileged elite class, but to share with you what's happening and then give you the tools and the techniques and the methods so that you can then empower yourself, so that you're in control of your life, that you're powerful, not powerless, to give you hope instead of feeling hopeless. You watch a lot of shows and at the end you feel hopeless, you feel powerless. Here, you always feel better when you leave than when you start. So there's a bunch of segments on various shows that I've kind of reviewed, and I thought, boy, people, if you haven't seen it, you should really see it. And if you've seen it 6 months ago, you really should see it again. When you see something in a new unit of time, it's kind of like, boy, I need to see that again. You just don't review good information once, you review it over and over again. We listen to our favorite song dozens of times. We watch our favorite movie dozens of times. Oh, The Godfather's on. Oh, Goodfellas is on. Oh, this movie's on. That movie's on. I want to see it again. Haven't you seen it a bunch of times? Yeah, and I love it. I love Willy Wonka, with the original one with Gene Wilder. I love that. It's on. I want to watch it. But you've seen it a dozen times, 3 dozen times, 4 dozen times. Yeah, and I love it. So you watch a movie over again because you like it. And you begin to know the next line coming up, the next scene. Oh, I love this scene. Oh, watch what he says here. When it's positive, motivational, inspirational, eye-opening material, awakening material, you should do the same thing. So there's a couple segments that I'm going to replay today. Some of you, this is the first time you've ever seen them. And hopefully this will encourage you to go back on this channel and binge watch the Kevin Trudeau shows, which you should. It'll be the most empowering thing you've ever done for your life. Each of these shows are embedded with frequencies, embedded with energy. Shakti is what it's called in the East. So when you watch the show, I'm actually bombarding you with love energy that's coming directly from the heart chakra and actually from the dantian, which is 2 inches below my navel, and filling you with this energy that is uplifting. And that's why people say, why is it, Kevin? They ask me, when I watch your show, I feel sometimes tingling, or I feel spacey, or something is like changing. And it's true, because this is energy that is different than just the words and the subjects and so forth. This is a magical show, as well as fun and entertaining and so forth. So I did a segment called The Movies with Embedded Success Secrets. Since I started doing the show, I started recommending movies. I said, these are some movies that you might consider watching. Not only are they good movies, me as movie critic, they're entertaining movies. They're movies you probably have never even heard of or never even seen. They're most of the time riveting, engaging, but they contain secrets of success. All you have to do is pay attention. So I did a segment where I went back and said, here are a bunch of the movies that I recommended, and I give you a little bit of tidbits of each one. Write the movies down, watch the movies, empower your life. Take a look at this past segment from the Kevin Trudeau Show about movies that I've recommended with secrets of success embedded within them. Take a look at this. I'm going to change from the world's best mentor. We will move the world's best mentor. Now what does it say, fellas? Help me out.
Movie critic.
I am movie critic. As you know, if you've been watching the show, and if you haven't, shame on you. You are missing out on stuff that's helping you manifest your goals, dreams, and desires. Have some fun. Learn information from behind the curtain, insider information. That's what the Kevin Trudeau Show is all about. But I have been giving, as a movie critic, because that's what it says right there, right? Movie critic. Phenomenal movie recommendations. And this week, I am not going to give you a new movie recommendation because some of you, shame on you, have not watched the movie recommendations that I have. But those of you who have put your comments down and said spectacular. Some people have sent me emails. People have figured out how to reach the office, and they've called. And they say, these are movies we've never heard of. They are entertaining. They are enlightening. They are funny. They're just fully engaging. They are spectacular movies, and how come we don't hear about it? Well, because Hollywood's trying to program you. If you haven't watched the past shows, I recommend that you do. And I'll give you a couple other little recommendations here. If you have not subscribed to this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the show, share the show. Hit the share button and send it to everyone you know. And if you have a comment about the show, leave a comment and read the comments that are on the show. One of the things I've been doing in every single show is giving you some movie recommendations. And each of the movies that I've been recommending contain information that can help you in your life because they're embedded with secrets of success. And they're fun, and they're entertaining, and they're engaging. So I'm not going to give you a new one today, but we can put up on the screen what I've recommended so far. So I've recommended Godzilla -1 minus color. It's the new Godzilla movie, -1 minus color, just released. There's two versions. There's a color version, which is good, but the minus color, the black and white version, I think is much better. It is just, you will see a movie done today, 2024, it was done by the Japanese, that is what I would classify as a real movie. It's moving, it's entertaining, it's engaging, it has great acting. Special effects, sure, but it's not a special effects movie. It's not like any of the Godzilla movies you've seen. This is a good one. And it's an engaging story. And it's got a surprise ending. It's good. So that's one. Kung Fu Panda. the original Kung Fu Panda, has embedded in it the secrets of success. I taught a seminar in the Global Information Network for a whole morning, 3 hours, and I used clips from Kung Fu Panda. And the audience was blown away because they had not seen the secrets in that movie. Although when I asked the people how many have actually watched the movie, about half of the room raised their hand, maybe less than that. And those who did, afterwards, I said, did you notice this in the movie when you watched it? Nobody raised their hand. It's embedded with the secrets of the universe, and it's entertaining. It is fun for the whole family. Kung Fu Panda, cartoon. Next, An Affair to Remember. A real movie, 1957. Deborah Kerr, redhead. Cary Grant. I think it's Cary Grant, right? It's Cary Grant in that movie. Sometimes I get some of the names confused, but Cary Grant, it is a wonderful movie. And it shows about focusing on your dream. It is powerful, entertaining. It is also fun for the whole family because there's no nudity, there's no cursing, there's no swearing, there's no adult themes. Everybody in the family can watch this movie. If this movie, which came out in 1957, came out today, it would be rated G. You can't even make that movie today. Spectacular movie. Next is Pillow Talk, 1959. Rock Hudson. Okay, he was a homosexual. Nobody knew that at the time. But what a handsome guy. And I don't mean that in the funny way. I just think he's a handsome guy and a great actor. He's really great in that movie. It is a funny movie, an entertaining movie, and of course it has the beautiful and talented, who's a great singer by the way, Doris Day in the movie. It is also something about dreams and manifesting what you want, as well as being entertaining. There, maybe you could say an adult theme in that movie, but overall, it's a G-rated movie. Spectacular. Next is The Offer. This is a TV series. It's on Paramount Plus. It is, I think, 10 episodes, an hour each. It is the story of the making of the movie The Godfather. If you want to become successful, if you have goals and dreams in life, and you think, how do I make my goals and dreams come true? Watch that movie or that TV series called The Offer, because it's based on, and it's incredibly accurate, the true story of making of the movie, the spectacular movie, The Godfather. You will see how to overcome adversity in real life like you've never seen before. Watch that movie. It's not a movie, it's a TV series. It is riveting. David Kruger and I was walking in my house, David and I share a home, and he had it, the first episode, on the television as I walked by. And there was a character in there in this particular scene, and I said, that reminds me of Joey Colombo, the mob boss in Chicago. He goes, it is Joey Colombo. I said, what are you watching? And he goes, it's this new series called The Offer, and it's the true story about how they made the movie The Godfather. I said, I'm in. Stop. I want to watch it with you. And we would binge watch this. It was riveting, but I can tell you, it teaches you the secrets and keys to success if you open up your eyes and pay attention. It is spectacular. Next, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, a classic movie. And again, it is embedded with the secrets of success. It is a G-rated movie. It is black and white. It is entertaining. It is engaging, surprise ending. And at the end, if you don't cry, you're not alive. I watch that movie and a tear comes to my eye and a smile on my face every single time I watch it. It's spectacular. Next is Bonanno, a Godfather story. Came out in 1999. It's the true story of mob boss Joseph Bonanno, the longest ruling mafia boss in American history. He came over from Sicily illegally. He immigrated illegally. He became a member of a crime family. His boss was killed. He became the boss. He worked with Charlie Luciano. He worked with Bugsy Siegel, which is Benny Siegel. He hated the name Bugsy. Frank Costello, all the mafia guys, Joey Profaci, etc., etc. Lucchese, all these guys, he was involved. And it is a true story, which is very accurate. He himself, Joseph Bonanno, wrote the story. It is very accurate. And it also teaches you secrets of success and also gives you an understanding of people's motivation. It is, I think, a spectacular series. Very wonderful. Next is 12 Angry Men, 1957. If you haven't seen this, black and white, has a young Jack Klugman in it. If you want to learn, it's also Henry Fonda. And this movie is weird because the whole movie is filmed on one set. The whole movie is filmed in a jury room. The entire movie. Like cost them a nickel to make. They love that. It is used. It was originally used by a guy named who was the big the negotiation expert who used to teach Herb Cohen. Herb Cohen, one of the greatest negotiators of all time, and taught a great negotiation course. Used to teach his seminar in a hotel while smoking a cigar. And I walked up to him and I says, "Hey, Mr. Cohen, this is a non-smoking hotel." And he'd be smoking a cigar, and he said, "Not anymore. I negotiated my ability to smoke a cigar in this room. It's negotiation." And Herb Cohen, when he taught this negotiation seminar, he was brilliant. He would say, "In negotiation, you have to care, but not that much." He was a wonderful Jewish fellow from Chicago. And I remember the stories he would tell. But one of the things that he used to teach people the art of negotiation and how to persuade others to your way of thinking was showing them the movie 12 Angry Men, which is the movie that I'm talking about. 12 Angry Men, 1957, black and white. Watch this and learn the art of negotiation. Pay attention. It is riveting. It is engaging. It is a wonderful evening. Also, G-rated. Next, A Bronx Tale. True story. 1993 it came out. A Bronx Tale is the true story of a mafia situation in the Bronx. Riveting. It's not G-rated, but it doesn't have any over-the-top violence or profanity, but it is. I don't recall if it has any nudity at all. If it does, it's very limited. I don't think it does. But it is an amazing true story, incredibly accurate, of a mafia family in the Bronx of New York. Highly recommended. You will also learn the motivations of people. For example, in one particular scene in this movie, the main character, who's the mafia boss, is talking to this young kid. And he says, "What do you think's more important? To be loved or to be feared?" And he goes on to explain things. It is a wonderful movie to understand people's motivation. Good watch. Next is The Sting. 1973, won an Academy Award for Best Picture. The Sting is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend that you watch this one as well. It features two superstars of the cinema, Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Spectacular. It's complete 100% fiction, but it does, in a fictionalized account, show you the motivations and greed of people. It is a wonderful, wonderful movie. There is, I think, one slight frontal nudity scene. If there is one, it's very quick. There is no overt violence, no blood and guts, no cursing or swearing. It's not fun for the whole family. Watch it before you consider your kids, because I think when it came out, it was probably rated R. Based on the themes of it. But a spectacular movie. Next is Finding Forrester. It came out in 2000. Sean Connery. Sir Sean Connery, by the way, because he won, not won, but he was knighted, I believe, by the king or the queen. So he is a Sir Sean Connery. It is a wonderful movie. I believe this also, even though it may be rated PG-13 or PG-18 or whatever they rate them now, I don't think there's any nudity or swearing or violence, but it is a riveting, engaging drama, not based on a true story, but it also teaches a secret of motivation. All of these recommendations that I'm giving you, there's a reason why I'm referring you to these movies. Not only are they entertaining and they're fun to watch and they're engaging and they're better than any of the crap that's being produced today, they have a lesson, and many of them more than one lesson if you find them. Next is The Sound of Music, 1965. Not only is this G-rated and it is fun for the whole family, it teaches you about having a goal and dream and being in a state of allowing. When life throws you a curveball, what do? When you think you want something and life doesn't give it to you, what's happening here? And the answer is, when one door closes in life, remember, there is always another door that is opening. You just have to look for it. Stop being blind. This is a wonderful, based on a true story. It is based on a true story, The Sound of Music. By the way, all of these I have been recommending since I started this podcast, YouTube show, whatever you want to call it. I know you haven't watched every single episode. Some of you have. God bless you. You are better for it. But many of you haven't. Shame on you. No, seriously, I know you can't. You probably haven't watched them all. But now I'm getting you caught up on some of the critical things. And if you haven't, if you want to binge watch something, binge watch our shows. Binge watch the Kevin Trudeau Show. Share it with everybody. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. That's how the show is going to grow. And right now, it is growing every single week, and it's going to grow faster. You need to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You need to share it if you haven't shared it. And you need to leave a comment if you haven't left a comment. There's a subscribe now right there, and share this with everybody. So these are what I'm giving you is what I've recommended so far on the show. The Sound of Music. What else can you say? It's got singing, it's got drama, and it's based on a true story of the Von Trapp family in the 1930s in Austria when the Nazis came in. Talk about learning secrets of success, setting goals, dreaming big, overcoming adversity. It is entertaining, it's engaging, it's a true story, it's motivational, it's inspirational. It's a beautiful story because they win. It's good. Next is a movie in 1979, which is fun, and it is not fun for the whole family because there is nudity in this. Well, now we know which movie everyone's going to be watching, right? Right? Every guy watching. Oh, good. I'm going to write this one down. There's full frontal nudity with some really hot women. Okay, so now everybody's going to watch the movie. It's called 10. It's the number 10, not T-E-N. It's the number 10. It's with Bo Derek, who most of you don't even know because you're too young. Drop Dead Gorgeous, voted one of the beautiful most woman in the world. Bo Derek is in here. And there's full frontal nudity with Bo Derek, who now everybody's going to watch. The most beautiful woman in the world voted at the time, and I got full frontal nudity. Oh, and also back nudity as well, guys. I'm motivating you to watch this movie. I am motivating. And there's Dudley Moore, the little short English fellow, who is hilarious. He was also in the movie Arthur. Why am I recommending this movie? Because it has nudity. That's not why I'm recommending it. Although I know that'll motivate a lot of you to watch it. There's no blood and guts. There's no anything bad. The only thing that makes it an R-rated is the nudity. But the reason I recommend 10 with Dudley Moore and Bo Derek is not only because it is hilarious at certain parts, and there's certain parts that are drama, but there's other parts that are really hilarious. I mean, you might be really laughing and other parts really engaged in the drama. So it's an interesting movie like that, but it was dubbed as a comedy. But the reason is you're going to see a key of success, which is a word called obsession. And we get obsessed negatively or positively, but this movie has an element of someone who's obsessed. And what we think we want, when we get it, we realize that's not really what we wanted after all. That we had, right in the palm of our hands, everything we ever wanted. It is an entertaining movie. It's a funny movie. That's why it's on my recommended list. Next is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, 2002. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind is a story of a guy named Chuck Barris, who was the producer of several game shows back in the early 70s. The Dating Game, and also he produced The Newlywed Game, and he was the host of a show called The Gong Show. He was an interesting, people said a strange fellow, and he produced a lot of other winning game shows. One of the things that was fascinating on these game shows, when people won the prize, primarily on the dating game, when they won the prize, when two people won the dating game, the prize was always, you've won a trip behind the Iron Curtain to Bucharest, Hungary, or to Romania, or to Belarus, or to some country that was always behind the Iron Curtain. Every single time they won. I mean, once in a while they went to San Francisco or New York, but almost always they were sending people behind the Iron Curtain. And the reason they did this is because Chuck Barris was an assassin. He was part of the MK Ultra program in the CIA, and he was an assassin for the CIA and was using this as a cover in order to get into Eastern Europe so he could kill someone and then get out very quickly. Now, Chuck Barris today says, oh no, I just made everything up. And he says it, and he always laughs like, are you all stupid? Of course it's real. It's his true story. Now it's dramatized, of course, but the reason why I recommend this is for you to understand a little bit of how the world works. It is also a very entertaining movie. Effectively, it's based on a true story of a CIA assassin who was in Hollywood producing game shows. So check that out. Next is Airplane, 1990. The reason why I recommend this, number one, it is completely politically incorrect. So when you watch this movie, you'll be like, I can't believe they're making fun of cripples. I can't believe they're making fun of Jews. I can't believe they're making fun of black people. You know, it's like, what is going on here? I mean, it is unbelievably, completely politically incorrect. The guys wanted to offend everybody. But back then, nobody got offended. And the reason why I recommend this is you might be shocked, you might be appalled, or you might laugh hysterically. But it's a recommendation for you to understand the sensitivities that the powers that be are trying to instill in you today. Back in our day, we weren't sensitive because nobody took things personal. I remember sitting around the table in Lynn, Massachusetts, where I grew up. And there was a friend of ours who was black, another guy who was Jewish, another guy who was Greek Orthodox, another guy who was a Polak. That's what we used to call him, Polish, for those who don't know what Polak means. Polish. And I was we had an Irishman. We had two Irishmen, O'Neill and O'Connor. And then we had the couple Italians, Lavorante, Tranfaglia, myself. So we were the Italians. Even though I had the French-Canadian name, I always called myself Italian, even though I'm only half Italian because my mother's Italian from Italy. But when we would be sitting around, we would be calling each other names. You dumb Polak. They look at me, you guinea wop, you dago. These were derogatory terms. We were friends. We didn't take offense. We said them not to offend somebody else or talk derogatorily to one another, but to show the absurdity of prejudice. Do you understand? We did it as a way of desensitizing ourselves to prejudice, to know who we are. And it didn't matter what somebody said about us or thought about us. We knew who we are. We were not affected by this outside influence of real prejudice that was really out there. There were people that were prejudiced. You know, I look at my friend and I'd say, "You dumb Polak," and he'd laugh at me and he'd say, "Yeah, you guinea wop," and we both smile and we'd hug each other because we were friends. We weren't offending each other. We were showing in our subtle way how absurd discrimination was, how absurd it was to look at somebody just based on their nationality or religion and think them as less or different in a derogatory way. So Airplane might be a very funny movie to you, but it also might be a little appalling because it is a comedy back in 1980. But it should give you also, if you look at it from a learning standpoint, of what's the lessons here I can learn. And it might be hard not to laugh. It is a very funny movie, if you're not offended. Next is Casablanca, 1942, black and white, one of the greatest movies of all time. It's always listed in the top 5 of greatest movies ever made. Not a true story at all, but there are lessons to be learned about setting goals, following your mission, following your purpose. It is wonderful. And it also has a lesson about integrity in this movie. This is where the song comes from. Some of you know the song. Everybody know the song that comes from Casablanca? No? I'm not even going to tell you. You have to watch it, but there's a very famous song from Casablanca. And there's a phrase that was made famous in Casablanca. Anybody here know the phrase? Again, I get the Three Stooges over here. They're all like the three deaf mutes. It's like the Marx Brothers. So the phrase that comes from this movie, you don't know the phrase. It comes from Casablanca. Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain. No, that's the name of a movie. That was with Gene Kelly, Singing in the Rain. No, but good try. William, I appreciate you jumping in. Although sinking to the bottom, but I appreciate you jumping into the deep end. No, the phrase that comes from Casablanca is, "Here's looking at you, kid." Did you ever hear that? "Here's looking at you, kid"? Of course, Brian's over there. You've never even watched the movie. What are you? Okay, so "Here's looking at you, kid" comes from this. All right. Casablanca, spectacular. Next is The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen, who was a really not well-known classic dramatic actor. He was in a ton of movies and bit parts. I don't think he had a big lead role, but I mean, maybe 100 or more. Like he was like John Wayne, but always in secondary roles. And he then became a funny guy all of a sudden. But he was a straight man funny guy. The Naked Gun is a movie which is also very politically incorrect. And the reason why I recommend it is, again, look for the political incorrectness in this movie. Look for the jokes that you might not even find funny today to understand how more sensitive people are today as opposed to what they used to be. We can also look at how jokes and what we think is funny has changed. There's no cursing in this movie. Today, you go to any stand-up comedy show, and it's F this, F that, F this, F that. Everything is about a woman's period. Everything's about sex, anal sex, this type of thing. Everything is about, it's quite frankly, it disgusts me. Aren't you guys talented enough to be able to tell a joke without using a curse word or mentioning a female's sexual anatomy or a man's sexual anatomy? No, they don't have any talent. That's all. We used to call it bathroom humor or locker room humor because it's talentless and it's designed to shock you. And you almost laugh out of embarrassment as opposed to anything else. So The Naked Gun, check that movie out. And I got 2 more. Frankenstein. 1931, the original Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, who no one knows who it is. It was originally called Frankenstein's Monster, but then it was just changed to Frankenstein. The monster is not Frankenstein. That was the doctor who created the monster. That's why the original title was Frankenstein's Monster. The monster is the monster. The monster is not Frankenstein, but when we see the monster, we always say, oh, it's Frankenstein. No, that was the doctor who created him. Anyway, the reason why I have this is a horror movie with no blood and guts, no cursing, and no violence. And it is frightening. It's also entertaining. It's also riveting. So I have this movie to show you how entertainment has changed over the years and how the powers that be are moving to influence you in different ways. So check out Frankenstein. And last week, I recommended, and I've already seen on the comments, tons of comments about this one, Miracle on 34th Street, 1947. Miracle on 34th Street is black and white, spectacular. It's about Santa Claus, and there's a conversation in there where the main character is talking to this kid who's being seen by a psychiatrist, and you're going to learn about you become what you think about most of the time. It's also about setting a goal, putting a dream on a dream board, and watching it manifest. It is an entertaining movie, and it is fun for the whole family. Yes, you can have your entire family watch this. It is clean, fun, spectacular entertainment. Welcome back. I do hope that you watch some of these movies, and if you are watching this now and you have watched some of those movies, I encourage you to go to the comment section and tell other people, I watched this movie and I liked it. I recommend you watch it too. Or say something, I found it entertaining, or I watched it with my spouse or my kids, or we had discussions afterwards, or I really found it interesting, or I love this secret of success that was in it, or whatever. Leave some comments. Any of the movies that you watch, if you liked one more than others, saying, I really like this one of Kevin's recommended movies, these are the ones that I found the best, these are the ones I like the best. Leave some comments. Share your opinions, your thoughts about some of these movies to encourage other people to watch them as well. Because if you watch them and you really find those secrets of success, it's going to empower you and help you, because you will remember the scene as you go through life, and that's going to help you be proactive and get out of your failure habits and start employing success habits in your life. Okay. The next segment I want to share on today's show is another segment I did called the Top 10 Motivational Speakers of All Time. Most of these people I actually know. Many of them have passed away, so I knew them. They've been to my home. They are friends of mine. They are brilliant. They are great communicators. You can learn how to speak. You can learn how to communicate by watching and listening and dissecting these people. They will also motivate you. They will inspire you. They will give you strategies and specific techniques that can help you in every aspect of your life. And the best part is many of these motivational speakers you have never heard of before. So take a look at this segment. You're going to love this. It's a lot of fun. Write down these names. And the good news is a lot of their information is free all over YouTube and various social media platforms. So check them out. Highly recommend it. Take a look at the segment. I listened to guys who had success. Ed Foreman, for example, he made hundreds of millions of dollars before he ever gave a speech on motivation. He was the real deal. I never gave a speech. Before I did Your Wish is Your Command, I didn't do anything. I never gave a speech. It was until I did, billions of dollars in sales did I actually start teaching others how this works. So think about that. So I am going to give you today, in my opinion, the top 10 motivational speakers of all time. And look, they're all American. They all speak English because these are the guys I know. And they were all friends of mine. I am sure there are great motivational speakers and inspirational speakers who come from France and Germany and Japan and India and all types of countries around the world, Brazil and Argentina. And I'm sure there are people that are really excellent that have done something, and they're teaching not just what they know about, but what they actually know. These are the ones that I've listened to. And not just me, but hundreds of my colleagues. We listened to these people. I knew them. I spent time with them. I've had dinner with them. Some of them have lived in my house for a while. So these are people that I know and are very, very good. So we're going to start with an old, and these are all old timers. Most of them, I think they're all almost, there's only 2 of them that are still alive. But you can find their material online. Most of it's for free. The first one, number 10, on the top 10 list of greatest motivational speakers of all time is a guy named Kevin Robert. Take a listen to Kevin Robert, then I'll tell you a little about him. Here's a little clip of Kevin Robert.
Thank you, Bill Gold. You know, everybody loves a beautiful introduction. Only one thing wrong about it, Bill, it helps the guy only up until the time he opens his mouth. Then he's on their own. I hope the good Lord in his infinite mercy will forgive us both. You for your exaggeration, me for being such a ham for loving it so. I always did like to hear other people read the introduction that I wrote about myself. But as long as his conscience was going to let him read it, I wish he'd read it all. I wanted you people to know a few of my small accomplishments. I at least wanted you to know that I'm ghostwriter for Ronald Reagan, I'm gag writer for Bob Hope, I'm romantic advisor for Elizabeth Taylor, I am the only authentic executor of the will of Howard Hughes, and sometimes I'm the spiritual consultant for both the Pope and the Ecumenical Council. In addition to those friends, my friend, you're going to hear a very modest person.
Kevin Robert is the real deal. He said one thing that I talk about all the time. He says character is following through on a decision long after the excitement and emotion of the moment has passed. And he said, if you have one trait, which is character, you'll succeed in every aspect of your life. Think about that definition. Kevin Robert, great speaker. Obviously, he has an accent. He's was a spiritual person, but motivational and inspirational. He used to be the past president of the National Speakers Association. All right, number 9, good friend of mine, and he is absolutely still alive. As a matter of fact, he's coming to our meetings here for the Global Information Network. I think he's coming to summer conference, or I think he's coming to family reunion, but he'll be speaking at some of our events. He spoke at our Global Information Network events years ago. Author, one of the greatest speakers, relationship expert, motivational expert. He worked with one of the most successful entrepreneurs in American history, Dexter Yeager, who was the top guy in the Amway business, co-wrote most of all of Dexter's books, counseled with Dexter. So not only did Ron achieve personal success, thus he talks from what he knows, not just knows about, but he's been around some of the wealthiest people in the world. I was with him with one of the biggest billionaire real estate developers in Beverly Hills. He says, Kevin, I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm going to be over at my buddy's house. You want to come over? And this is who he is with and the circles he's in because he's one of them. Take a listen to Ron Ball.
But here's what I want you to know. I realized after talking to all of my Amway contacts, after my years with Charles Stanley, and after my time with all these conventions, and then my experience interacting with Scott Rasmussen, who understands the pulse of the nation, and then my own daughter, who is in that age demographic, I realized something. And what I realized was this, and I want to really say this to you from my heart. I realized that we are in a crisis of greatness right now in this country. People don't know how to be great. They don't know the principles that created greatness. They don't know the principles that enlarge life. I mean, I talk to young men and young women right now, and they will tell me, yes, I want to be great, but they don't know how. They don't know how. Well, the Bible teaches us how to be great through giving, through commitment, through service, through love. But there are other lessons that are just as practical that I want to connect to all that so you'll understand how to have a great life. If the United States of America needs anything right now, it needs greatness. It needs a rebirth of greatness, a renewal of greatness. It needs a revival of greatness.
Ron Ball is an outstanding speaker. And both Cavett Robert and Ron Ball and all the people that I'm recommending have excellent speaker skills. So not only listening to them, just the audios are inspirational and motivational. If you listen to what they say, there's technique that you can apply that can help your life. It will stimulate your thought, sometimes push your buttons, sometimes make you think, wait a minute, do I agree with that? And that'll stimulate your reason, which means it stimulates the brain and actually increases the size of the hippocampus so you can broadcast more because it improves and increases your power, your self-determinism when you listen to these guys. But there's another thing when you listen to these guys. Watch how they speak. They all have a different cadence, but they use sentences. They actually know how to speak. They actually start a sentence and end it with a full stop or a period. Depending on where in the world you are, you call it either a full stop or a period. Notice that they very rarely use the word or and. And also notice today's speakers, they start almost every sentence with the word so. And catch yourself, how many times do you say so? So, blah, 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 blah. These speakers know how to actually speak the language. So you can watch their so. See how I threw that in there? So, you can watch. We use the word so today. It wasn't used professionally. And actually, you will become a better speaker if you reduce the amount of times you use the word so, and ah. Think about it. Next, if you watch these speakers, you will notice their voice inflection. You will notice the way that they hold their body, their posture. You will also notice what's called hand gestures. And I'm doing this just so I can show you. Watch these guys. They're experts. And if you want to become a better speaker, watch, mimic, and model. All right, number 8. One of the teachers of my good friend Ed Foreman, one of my teachers as well, another Christian man, ran a church. He is called the father of positive thinking. He authored the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Take a listen.
Now, when we talk about happiness, we're not talking about some Pollyanny sweetness and light deal. It's strange how some words can be destroyed or vitiated, like love, for example. That's one of the greatest words in the English language, but Hollywood has successfully messed it up. But love is the strong, vital, vigorous, tough word. And so is happiness.
Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, special guy, powerful speaker. You would not put him into the category of professional motivational speaker, but he is. He knows how to speak. His message is riveting because he knows intention behind the words he's using. Next on the list, number 7, one of my closest friends. He also passed away. We traveled together. We shared the platform together. We hugged each other all the time. We loved each other. a spectacular speaker with a great message and nothing but love, love, love in his heart. This fella's number one goal in life was to get you, people around the world, to read books. He loved books. He started a company called Executive Books because he was so passionate about getting people to read books because he knew. And he always said, 5 years from now, the person you will become is going to be based on the people that you have relationships with and the books you read. That's who you become, because you become what you think about most of the time. My good friend, take a listen, Charlie Tremendous Jones.
Who you live your life with, what you live it in, and then what you live it in for. Fred Smith asked me that question. Well, all of us, about 31 of us, we had done $500 million worth of business that year. Fred Smith came and spoke, and he said, you're not ready to live your lives until you know what you want written on your tombstone. I thought, I'll need a big monument. No, he meant simply what do you live your life for? And I thought about it. And you know what? There's only two things you can do with your life. You can live it for you, me, mine, I, or you can let God live it in you. Now you hear a guy say, well, I give my all to God. Well, then he didn't get much in, did he? Come on here. You see, religion is when you give something to God. Conversion is when God gives something to you. Oh, glad a few Baptists are here tonight. Yeah, they're everywhere. You know, you can't keep them out sneaking on you. Maybe lose my place. No.
Charlie Tremendous Jones. Now you notice a lot of these guys, Cabot Robert mentioned God, Ron Ball mentioned God, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, he was a minister, he ran a church. Charlie Tremendous Jones mentioned God. Now they happen to be all white guys who are American, male, who are Christian. Like I said, there are plenty of speakers out there that are Muslim, that are Hindu, that are Jewish, that are atheists. But they all understand the spiritual nature of the world. Very special. Very, very special. Charlie Tremendous Jones, tremendous guy. The next guy, another white American Christian guy. Also passed away, very good friend of mine. Him and I were in a car with his wife Zanya and a guy named Al Carter. Al Carter wrote the book, The Miracle of Rebound Exercise. And we traveled around the South of America doing seminars. We would go in, Bob Harrington would do the motivational talk. Zanya would get up there and she would motivate everybody. I would go up there and talk about the mind and the brain. And then Al Carter would get up there with his rebounder, jump up and down and talk about the benefits of rebound exercise, a mini trampoline. Everyone loved it. Bob Harrington was a spectacular guy. He's called the chaplain of Bourbon Street because he was a preacher on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, Louisiana, preaching to the winos, the drug addicts, the prostitutes, the destitute, the down and out. What a wonderful man. He said, I'm going to preach to the downtrodden, the ones who really, in his opinion, needed it the most. They didn't deserve it, but they needed it. And he went there, and he was beat up, and he was robbed, and he still loved all those people. This man has love in his heart. He's also a spectacular motivational speaker. You can learn a lot from him. You can be inspired and motivated, and also learn speaking skills. Take a listen to my late good friend, Bob Harrington.
You know, happiness is a wonderful thing. Everywhere I go, people are trying to find happiness. Down on Bourbon Street, I'm located right next to Pete Fountain, right down the street from Al Hurt, right down the street from where Louis Armstrong began his old trumpet music years ago. A little bit further down the street, Mahalia Jackson began her singing. Do you know nowadays if you're happy, people think you're strange? Did you know if you go around with a smile on your face, people point at you? Did you know that? You can walk down the street happy, and first thing you know, the policemen have you up against the wall checking your veins. They're checking your breath, because nowadays happiness, you just don't find too many people happy. Did you know I believe I'm the only fella on Bourbon Street can walk down the street with the Bible in my hand, the Lord in my heart, and a happy face, and people point at me. I believe Lady Godiva could ride down the street and nobody notice. Maybe some hippie will say, man, look at that horse. But that's about the only involvement. I know the other night I walked on this Delta jet and I walked in and I said, hello, stewardess, how you doing? She said, you care for another drink? Because if you don't think happiness is a strange thing, tonight, men, just before you get ready to go to bed and before the wife turns off the light, just lay there in bed and smile.
There's more to that story. There's more to that story. Bob Harrington, Chapel on Bourbon Street. You listen to him, I don't know. Some people love him. I love him. I love them. Great guy. Next on the list, number 5, is the fellow that actually trained Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. Now, Jim Rohn is a different type of speaker, spectacular. One thing that I always respected and admired so much about Jim was his ability to articulate and put sentences together so well. One sentence after the next sentence after the next sentence. Not run-on sentences. The sequence of his thoughts were brilliant. The storytelling was brilliant, engaging, brilliant, and the material, brilliant. Take a listen to the late, great Jim Rohn.
Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. That's the challenge. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. I have found in my experience that income does not far exceed personal development. Now, sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but sure enough, unless you grow out where it is, it'll usually come back where you are. Life has strange ways. If somebody hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly, so you get to keep the money. Otherwise, sure enough, it'll disappear. Somebody once said, if you took all the money in the world, divided it up equally among everybody, it would soon all be back in the same pockets. Incredible.
Jim Rohn. You could listen to him for hours. And when you listen to him, it's motivational and inspirational. Next on the list, another friend of mine, a late friend of mine. They're all passed away. All my friends were much older than me. They were my mentors and teachers and coaches. This is one of the beginning guys in the whole motivational, inspirational genre. He authored a program, actually it was a record, an LP back in the day, a vinyl LP, called The Strangest Secret. He had this amazing voice from radio, studied success, became successful, and then decided to teach the techniques that he had used to become successful with his business partner, Lloyd Conant, and they started a company called Nightingale Conant Corporation. This gentleman's name, the late great Earl Nightingale. Take a listen.
Successful people are not people without problems. They have, as a rule, just as many problems and largely the same kind as everyone else. The difference is that they learn to solve their problems. Successful living is nothing more than the ability to solve successfully the problems which are as much a part of living as breathing. The degree of our success will be determined by the extent to which we can solve our problems. So now that we've defined the problem, let me make this statement. If you can tell me what you want, I can tell you how to get it. The problem with the great majority of individuals is not with their ability to achieve their goals in life, but rather with the failure to understand two factors vital to successful living. The first is to make the decision as to what it is we want enough to give it most of our attention until it's been achieved, and to clearly define it. And the second is to fully understand that we have the ability to achieve this goal or we wouldn't want it in the first place.
Earl Nightingale. Powerful stuff, Earl Nightingale. You know, the great thing about all these speakers is when you become a member in the Global Information Network, the club that I founded, in our subject-specific area, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of audio recordings from almost all these people. And it's all free to members. The next speaker, my late, great, close, dear friend. I met him in 1979. We have been friends ever since. He's the real deal in every way. Beloved by everyone that he meets, was one of the founding speakers in the Global Information Network. When I founded that club, I called him up and said, we have an event in Cancun, Mexico. It's the first event. We just started as a club, so I can't pay you. Will you come down and speak? He goes, absolutely. Every single time I asked this man for anything, without hesitation, the answer was yes. And when he asked me for things, which wasn't very often, it was always a yes. We loved each other. He is one of the greatest motivational speakers of all time. Zig Ziglar and Judge Ziglar went through his training. He had made hundreds of millions of dollars in real business, concrete, real estate development, oil and gas, before he ever gave a motivational speech. He talks from knowing, not just knowing about. All of his recordings, most all of them, are available free of charge to Global Information Network members, and it's worth tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Take a listen, just a little listen, to the late, great Ed Foreman, my good friend.
Do you memorize the newspaper from cover to cover every morning when you first get up? All the murders, wars, and rapes that happened the night before? Or you read something a little bit more positive and uplifting, like a good self-help book? What do you listen to on the radio when you don't have to listen? Do you listen to the cheating and drinking and somebody done somebody wrong songs? I'm no good without you anyhow, baby. You know what you get when you play a country western music record backwards? You get your wife back, your dog back, your pickup back, and your mama don't get run over by a train. I heard one here a while back and says, I'm so miserable since you left, baby, it's almost like you were still here. Can you imagine how much positivity comes out of that kind of negativity? Now, I'm not putting on, or have you heard the one that says, it's hard to kiss the lips at night that chew your ass out all day long? Now, there might be some psychology in that. It's hard for employees to love an employer who's on their back all the time. It's hard for children to love and respect a parent who is complaining and griping and criticizing all day long.
And again, that's just a little tip of the iceberg. These guys, and again, they're all men here, and they're all white guys from, not all, but these are the guys that I knew back in the 60s and the 70s. There are plenty of women, there are plenty of Asians, there are plenty of people from all races and creeds and religious backgrounds all around the world that I am sure are outstanding. I just don't necessarily know them. These are the people that I knew, that I grew up with, and I'm sharing them with you. Ed Foreman is spectacular. All of them are. The one thing with these fellows and all the recordings, it is not a course where you are learning something and drilling it, mastering it to a certain extent before you go on to the next. That's what we do with the Success Mastery course in the Global Information Network. And that's what we definitely do in the Science of Personal Mastery course that you get for free in the Global Information Network. This is the supplemental material that is inspirational and motivational and basically keeps putting this information into your subconscious so it becomes part of your DNA and changes your vibration from the inside out. The next speaker, another close friend of mine. He's been to my house so many times. He has spoken at Global Information Network functions so many times. This man I love. I love all of these people. He is regarded as probably in the top 2 or 3 greatest motivational speakers of all time. His audio recordings are available free of charge to Global Information Network members. He has a great phrase I remember him telling me in his speech, and the phrase is, "It ain't over until I win." And the way he says that, with the power and the intention behind it, your whole body just, you get goosebumps. And it changes you from the inside. Take a listen to one of the greatest motivational speakers of all time, another close dear friend of mine, my brother from another mother, Les Brown.
I like to ask whether or not you have goals, but I want to ask you another question. How many of you know that if you had your life to live over again, you could do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves a point, that what we do and what we accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. So I want you to think about some goals that you'd like to achieve, and I'd like for you to, let's say, break them up in 3 categories. Number 1, I want you to think about some personal goal you'd like to achieve. And I'd like for you to think about some career goal, some business goal that you'd like to achieve. And I want you to think about some social contribution, some impact you'd like to make with your life. It was Horace Mann who said, "We should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind." I believe we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to leave our mark, to make a statement with our lives. And as you think about these goals, whatever those goals are, I want you to dramatically increase those goals. And I want to warn you, I don't want you to think about how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. The most important thing is just to increase those goals dramatically. I've found that most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit.
Les Brown, tell you what, you listen to some of those recordings, when he starts getting cranked up, you'll get fired up. And that's important if you want to succeed in life. Guy told me years ago, when you're on fire, people will come from all around just to watch you burn. Les Brown. Last, I put him number 1. I think probably one of the best, most popular, most successful, most impactful motivational speakers of all time. He's been doing this since the early 70s. He's passed away. Him and I used to be on a bus together, and we traveled around the United States as part of a program called the Masters of Success, with several other speakers. Charlie Tremendous Jones was one of them, some other people as well. He's a master of speaking. He is a master storyteller. He's a master communicator. He's a master speaker. You can learn a lot, not just from his words and the material. You can learn how to speak from this guy just by watching and observing and being aware. Take a listen to the late Zig Ziglar.
I believe that success is getting a reasonable number of the things money will buy. Now, money's not everything, but it's reasonably close to oxygen. I mean, you know, you just kind of got to have some of it. Admiral Hacker, I've had money, and I haven't had money. I'm here to tell you it is better to have it. Now, generally speaking, the things I like cost money. See, I like to wear nice clothes. It costs money. I like to drive a nice car, live in a nice house. I like to take that beautiful red-headed wife of mine on trips and into nice restaurants. It all costs money. I like to play golf at the country club. It costs money. I like those things. But I got to tell you, I love the things money won't buy. See, money will buy me a nice house, but it won't buy me a home. Money will buy me a companion, but it won't buy me a friend. Money will buy me a bed, but it won't buy me a good night's sleep. Money will buy me a good time, but it won't buy me peace of mind.
And that, what he just said, man, if you just pick that up, fantastic. Well, I just gave you what I think are probably the top 10 best motivational, inspirational speakers of all time. There's more. And somebody says, well, how come you don't have so-and-so on here? You know, there's one guy who's like the biggest guy in the world today as a motivator. How come you didn't have him on the list? I'll tell you why I didn't pick some of the people. I didn't pick people who talk about what they know about versus what they know. And if there's a guy out there, no matter how big he is, now how many books he's written, when he started, and he never made a nickel in business. but he was teaching people how to become successful. It's not really what works. That's number one. Number two, there are so many speakers today, and I was in a room in Aspen, Colorado with one of the top motivational speakers in the country, been on TV and so forth and so on. And I was with a couple of colleagues, and this guy was swearing from the stage. F, 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 F. He used the F word almost nonstop. I was disgusted. It was so much cursing, it was disgusting me. And then he'd have people come up and talk, and they would give a comment, and he would get mad at them because they weren't cussing, they weren't swearing, they weren't using profanity. And he would say, you need to let out your really feelings. F you, F, and he was swearing at them, cursing them. And then all of a sudden they started cursing back. And it was a profanity fest. And I'm thinking, I know what they're doing here. I've been in the Brotherhood. I know brainwashing. I know training. I know breaking down ethics. I know what's happening, and this is wrong. This is not impactful to people. It's, I don't want to say cultish, but so that's why there's some people on here that you might know that I don't have on there. And there's other people that just, the material they share is just so shallow. But I am sure that there are a lot of motivational speakers and inspirational talkers from all around the world who don't even speak English that are excellent and outstanding. Find the ones that you want. The point is, every day, you should be listening to positive, motivational, inspirational audios. Every time you're driving, shut off the radio. Listen to positive, motivational talks first thing in the morning, right before you go to bed, when you're in the shower. Feed your mind with positive, inspirational material, and your life will change. We have hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands of hours of spectacular material in the subject-specific area of the Global Information Network members-only website. You're a member, you get access to the secret vault of the training, so if you want to join, you should consider becoming a member and get all that information for free. Welcome back. Well, today's show a little different than some of the other previous shows, but I hopefully encouraged you, motivated you to go back to the previous Kevin Trudeau shows and listen to them or watch them as much and as often as you can. There is a plethora of free success information on these shows that are entertaining, uplifting, motivational, and inspirational. There's information here that you can't get anywhere else, that if you listen to it, it's going to empower you, make you feel better, and make you get more out of life. And most importantly, if you watch these shows, you're being bombarded, even the old ones, because the energy's still there, with Shakti, with energy. And just watching these shows, there is a transference of energy from me to you, pure love and light, directly from source, that is going to transform you and help you transcend, raise your vibration so that you become an attractor field, bringing into your life all the things you want and desire. Success in life, baby. You can have success in life. I'm Kevin Trudeau. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the show if you're not a subscriber. Share the shows with as many people as you can. Leave comments. And remember, God does love you. And so do I. Until next time, have a great day.